Most people don't know this, but in every company, there are two kinds of people getting paid. First is the employees, and second are the intrapreneurs. The reason why it was hard to decipher this, or the reason why a lot of people don't even know this, is because on the surface they look identical. They have the same job titles, they sit in the same meetings, they get the same paychecks. But the fastest growing careers, the biggest promotions, the most impactful, fulfilling work is not going to the best employees, it's going to the intrapreneurs. And the scariest part is, you might be a brilliant intrapreneur who is trapped in an employee's mindset. And it could be the single biggest thing holding back your career. And today we're going to fix it. But first, let me fix my tea. So what is the actual difference? Let me be super practical. Imagine two people, Sarah and David. They both work as analysts in the same department, and their job description is very identical. Compile the weekly sales data into a report for management. It's a boring manual task. It takes them both about 6 hours every Friday. Everyone hates that job. Sarah is the perfect employee. She's reliable, she's accurate, she's diligent. Every Friday, she just sits down, pulls up the data, builds the report, and sends it to her manager by 4 p.m. on the dot. She does her work perfectly. She might complain to her colleagues about how, chunky and how clunky the process is, but she has done her part. She's a great employee. While David here also hates the process. He's an intrapreneur, and his frustration manifests differently. He does the report, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking, this is a waste of human time. This could be automated. So, spends a few evenings one week teaching himself a new function in Excel or a simple script in Python. He builds a prototype, like a dashboard that automatically pulls the data and updates his reports in real time. It's not perfect, it's just a prototype. And next Friday, he boldly walks into his manager's office and says, oh, I know this weekly report actually takes us 6 hours. I built a system I think can do it in 6 minutes. Can I walk you through it? Now, who do you think is getting the next promotion? Who is more valuable to the company? Sarah did her job, and she does her job very effectively. David changed the job. He acted like an entrepreneur inside the company, and that's what an intrapreneur is. In my series, if you've watched my video, you know that the goal is a change of mindset. Now, these 3 core mindset shifts I'll be sharing with you. That example that I've just shared shows the 3 deep-seated mindset shifts that separates an entrepreneur from an employee. Mindset 1 is ownership, role versus outcome. The employee is focused on their role. Their mental boundary is their job description. If a problem falls outside that box, it's none of their business. That's not my job. The entrepreneur is focused on the outcome. They see a problem that affects the business, and they feel a sense of ownership, even if it's not their job. David's job was to make the report, but he took ownership of the process itself. He was thinking, how do I make this easier? And that's how a business owner thinks, not just a task doer. 2, problems. Reporting versus solving. The employee is a problem reporter. They are good at identifying issues. They go to their bosses, their employees, and they say, this system is broken, the client is unhappy, the process is too slow, and they've reported the problem. Now, their work is done. At least my boss knows there's a problem with this process. While an intrapreneur is a solution proposer. They will never bring a problem to their boss without first thinking of a few potential solutions. They'll walk in and say, the client is unhappy. I've looked into it and I think it's because of X, Y, and Z. I have 2 ideas for how we can fix it. Here's the one I recommend we start with. Now, that's a total mind shift. Employees, they bring the problem, while intrapreneurs bring proposals. Now, 3, permission. Asking versus prototyping. This is the most critical one. The employee waits for permission to do what they need to do. They wait to be told what to do. They have an idea, and their first step is to ask their manager, can I build a prototype? The entrepreneur doesn't ask for permission to build. They ask for buy-in after they have built a prototype. Did you notice David there? He didn't ask his manager, can I spend 10 hours trying to automate the report? His manager, who is busy, probably would have said, no, just do your job. Instead, David took a small calculated risk. He built a dashboard on his own time. He proved the value first. He wasn't asking for permission. He was presenting an opportunity. This is the classic ask for forgiveness, not permission model, but adapted to the corporate world. This is not hypothetical. In the beginning, I mentioned that I was going to be as practical as possible. This mindset has changed lives. This mindset has created trillions of dollars in values. Now, this is my favorite entrepreneur story. In the late 1980s, Ken Kutaragi was a junior engineer at Sony. He was secretly, tinkering with Nintendo consoles, trying to make it more powerful. He envisioned a new CD-ROM-based gaming system. When he pitched it to Sony executives, they hated it. They were a serious electronic company, not a toy company. They told him to stop. An employee would have just stopped, but Kutaragi was an intrapreneur. He worked in secret. He found a single powerful executive who believed in him. He refused to let the idea die. He fought against his own company's bureaucracy. The result of that fight was the Sony PlayStation that we have now, one of the most profitable products in the history of that company. All started by one entrepreneur who wouldn't take no for an answer. Another real example is Google. Google used to be famous for its 20% time policy, which was basically a formal system of encouraging entrepreneurship. It allowed engineers to spend 20% of their time on passion projects they believed in. What came out of this? Gmail, Google News, AdSense. These weren't top-notch projects. They were projects started by entrepreneurs who saw a need and built a solution. Paul Burchett, the creator of Gmail, built it because he was frustrated with existing email clients. He was a David, not a Sarah. He didn't just complain about the problem, he built the solution. At this point, you might be asking and thinking, this sounds just more like more work and less pay or same pay. And that is the employee mindset talking. What's in it for you? 1. Impact and fulfillment. You get to solve the problem that everyone else just complains about. You see your idea go from a thought in your head to a real system that helps your colleagues. This is the antidote to feeling like just a cog in a machine. Just feeling like just another useless part of a company. 2. Rapid skill building. When David built that dashboard, he wasn't just an analyst. He became a project manager, a product designer, and a stakeholder manager. He was building an entrepreneur's toolkit on his company's dime. 3. Insane visibility. Who do you think the senior leadership talks about? The 20 Sarahs who quietly do their job, or that one David who saved the entire department 500 hours a year? When it's time for layoffs, the employee is a line item, while the entrepreneur is essential. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. The truth is, you don't need to quit your job or start a business to be an entrepreneur. You can start right where you are. An employee is a pair of hands hired to do a job. An entrepreneur is a mind hired to solve problems and create value within the organization. You don't need a new title to make this shift. You don't need anyone's permission. You just make a choice. You just have to make a choice to change your mindset. So here's my challenge for you this week. Stop being a problem reporter. Find one small annoying problem and be a solution proposer. That's the first step. I want to hear from you. Have you seen a David or a Sarah in your company, or are you a David or a Sarah in your company? Are you an entrepreneur with a story to tell? Share a time in the comment section where you or your colleagues stepped outside of job description to solve a real-time problem. Let's learn from each other.